As always, Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville, and he's recently appointed to the U.S. Air Force Academy's Board of Visitors. Senator Tuberville, sir, welcome. Congratulations on the Air Force Board of Visitors. My late, great father-in-law, by the way, was a retired Air Force full bird colonel, so I'm glad you're there. And I assume you're going to kind of de-woke the Air Force if the Air Force still needs de-woking.
Well, Larry, what we want to do is get all of our academies back to academics, war fighting, and leadership skills. We need to get away, as we all know, away from the DEI wokeism. There's some in all of the academies, but I think we're making progress just talking to all of them on the phone. Next week, actually, I'm the chairman of the Personnel Committee on Armed Services, and we're bringing in all the supervisors, superintendents of all the academies and having a hearing. So that'll be interesting to talk to them and get them face to face with the Democrats and Republicans and have some good questions.
All right, Senator, I want to turn to really one of the hot news topics today. That's this whole business about domestic terrorism. Pam Bondi has arrested 3 people. I mean, they stand to be in jail, I don't know, up to 20 years or so. But you're seeing this across the board. There's lots of other things that the Justice Department and the FBI have to go after. The Democrats, I'm not going to say every Democrat is in favor of the kind of violence aimed at Elon Musk and Tesla, or this business about swatting, for example, which is just pure insanity, or the judges who are trying to stop. But I don't see any major league Democratic leaders standing up and condemning any of this political terrorism or violence. That's the thing. I don't see anybody in the party. No party leaders are standing up, Senator Tuberville. And I think this is going to cost them millions of votes in the next election cycle.
Exactly right, Larry. It's all about leadership. I've been swatted twice myself, and it's not a very good situation. And at the end of the day, if you go back and look at 2018 and 19, and even some in 20, Antifa was on a rampage, and that should have been domestic terrorism. And we now know what's happening here. They're going to push the agenda, and they're trying to slow down President Trump's agenda by doing these things. They're trying to get in Elon Musk's head. That's not going to happen. But it's the same group, the same people. Most of them are probably getting paid, but domestic terrorism brings a whole new light to the subject. So we'll see how this works out if some of them get arrested and end up going to jail and paying the price.
You know, my wife, saintly wife, and I were swatted. Yeah, when we were in government, Trump's first term, it was in 2018. And, when these SWAT teams come in, we weren't hit with this so bad. But when some of these SWAT teams come in, people can really get hurt. Innocent people can really get hurt. And that's why I'm trying to elevate swatting, because I don't think the public understands it as well as the other things.
Well, it affects entire neighborhoods. When they did swatted me, they had to block off all the streets. You got people out in the street panicking, wondering what the heck was going on. Right. It affects more people than just the people in the house. And it also puts law enforcement in harm's way. So it's just unfortunate that the Democrats, they lean into this, but they do not talk it down. They need to get out front on this and be a spokesman against this instead of just being totally silent.
Yeah, totally silent is right. Totally silent is a dead giveaway, too. So how about my big, beautiful bill? How about my tax cut in my big, beautiful bill, Senator Tuberville? I'm still waiting, sir.
We're working on it, Larry. We got the CR out of the way last week. Now President Trump has got 6 months to get this one big, beautiful bill done. Right now, as we speak, the Senate and the House leadership are working together, try to figure out what we're going to do. Probably next week, we will do maybe an amendment process to the House's bill, look at certain things. Are we going to put the debt limit in the House bill, have an amendment? I think we need to, but a lot of people don't. At the end of the day, they're looking at the so-called cuts. Now, I call them slow growth when it comes to cuts in Medicare, Medicaid. I don't think that's real. I think what we're trying to do is get out all the theft, all the fraud, and make sure the people that are actually eligible for this have money there for many, many years to come.
And the other thing that goes kind of along with it, it may be separate. Our Chad Pergram was talking about rescissions. In other words, take Elon Musk. I just want to say one more time, the great super patriot, brilliant technologist Elon Musk, that all these left-wing Democrats are attacking. They used to love him for his electric vehicles. Now they hate him because he's helping Donald Trump save the country. But putting all that aside, the issue of rescissions, using the Musk Doge savings, budget savings, examples of waste, fraud, and abuse and corruption and so forth, packaging that into a rescission, which only requires a majority vote, 51 in the Senate, for example, 218, 217, 18 in the House. Could that come before reconciliation? Could you start that budget cutting process? These are already existing appropriations, but you're going to rescind them. Could that be something that happens earlier than the tax cuts in the reconciliation bill?
You know, it possibly could, Larry. The good thing about it is we're finding out where the fraud is. I just heard Pete Hegseth say today the Department of Defense has saved just in the last week $800 million. So yes, it probably could go backwards instead of forwards, but a lot of that is going to pay big dividends. It's going to show people that, hey, we're finding out what's going on, and at the end of the day, we'll have a budget that really is going to be pretty close to balance. But we got to get $2 trillion. And I'm like Ron Johnson. I think we go back to the 2019 top line, start from that budget deficit there, do the inflation and the population growth. I think we can get to a balanced budget a lot quicker than what people think.
Well, just as the last one, on all these points, we had Kevin Hassett on, NEC Director Kevin Hassett was on last night, and he said that basically the congressional leaders are working well with the administration leaders. And so there's, the group of six or whatever they call themselves, the big six, and that's going to work out pretty well. And then, there's certain velocity to it. There's certain speed to it.
Yeah, the communication is there, Larry. Now we just got to get people to agree on certain items. Again, we go back to the debt limit. We go back to the supposedly cuts. We find out what we need to do at the border. Are we high or too low? And we need to make sure we're all on the same page as the defense budget. But at the end of the day, at least we're working together. People are communicating. White House, House, Senate. It's the only way you're going to get anything really done. Again, we've got the CR out of the way. Now let's do one big, beautiful bill. Let's do a few amendments in the Senate, send it back to the House, and let's get that thing passed and signed.
One last one, Senator Tuberville. I don't want to leave this. There's so much news breaking left and right today. This whole business, what Miranda Devine calls a vile cartel. You've got all these left-wing activist judges appointed by Democratic presidents who are basically trying to subvert, undermine, and stop President Trump's electoral mandate for change. What can be done about this? Something's got to be done about this. This is an absolute farce, what they're trying to prove.
Well, you're exactly right. And again, all this is the Democrats have a game plan. Finally, they're trying to get a little leadership out there of just trying to slow President Trump down. This is how they're doing it. They'll pick a judge in Seattle or one in Chicago, one in New York. They take turns. They try to knock President Trump's orders down, try to set him back a little bit. He's not going to put up with it. He was elected president of the United States. He's from the executive branch. He's not going to listen to some of these guys. Let it go to the Supreme Court. Joe Biden didn't listen to the Supreme Court, by the way. The forgiveness of student loans, they said you can't do it, and he turned around and continued to do it. So Democrats speak out of both sides of their mouth. At the end of the day, President Trump's doing exactly right. He's going to fight back, and we'll get a good ruling from the Supreme Court.
All right, Senator Tommy Tuberville, we appreciate your time, sir, and your wisdom, as always. Thanks so much.